fight for civil rights for disabled Americans. These are the foot soldiers. This is the headquarters of ADAPT, the radical arm of the disability movement. ADAPT pioneered the fight for accessible public transit, and they won that puppy for good with the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Their new fight is trying to replace nursing homes with home attendant care.
Why are we in this stupid, crazy fight? We know it would all be a lot easier if we didn't have to run from one city to the other, if we didn't have to fight with the airlines about our right to be on their damn airplanes, if we didn't have to be out demonstrating in the hot blistering sun and the driving rain, if we didn't have to hold those damn vigils all night long while the rest of our brothers and sisters were in jail, if we didn't have to get arrested and be in jail for several days, life would be so easy. So why the hell do we go through all this? We are in this fight because ADAPT has the dream of freedom for all the inmates of nursing homes.
The issue here is very clear. What to do with people who need help that can't help themselves. And that's why they've come here. Take a look at these pictures and we'll show you exactly what they're doing here at the State of Illinois building. They are blocking each and every stairwell, each and every escalator, each and every elevator to stop business as usual here at the State of Illinois building.
I gotta get out of here.
Talk to the elevator people. Talk to the elevator people. Talk to the elevator people. They won't let us up. We don't go up. You don't go up.
Shame on you. I got an appointment.
Hold on. Hold on. Sir, turn loose, baby. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute, you asshole.
Is your appointment really worth this to you? Are you crazy?
How can I meet my appointment?
Channel 7's Andy Shaw is standing by live at the Illinois Center with late details. Andy?
Linda and Joel, they may be disabled, but make no mistake about it, this has been one of the best organized and most effective demonstrations I've ever seen.
Watching videotape of the Chicago action I'd been at 6 months earlier, I could dig what the adaptive devices were up to. By blocking people's ability to move freely around a state building for a couple of hours, they were protesting policies that lock up disabled people and take away their hope so that nursing home owners can make a profit. The nursing home lobby is powerful, and they've seen to it that more than 80% of the Medicaid money for long-term care goes to nursing homes.
As they protest cuts in the home care program.
We've organized, especially in the physical disability.
Politics is really about money, don't you think? I learned from Bob Kafka that ADAPT is fighting to get some portion of public money redirected to home care attendant programs so that disabled people on Medicaid have the choice to stay home, which is actually way cheaper, instead of being forced to go to a nursing home when they need help.
Attendant services. On the national level, the American Health Care Association, the nursing home industry, brings in both public and private money, $76 billion. You know, about half of that, somewhere in the neighborhood of $38 billion, is public money, mostly Medicaid money. You're talking about an industry that is big bucks paid for mostly, you know, with public dollars, but it also devastates families who have the money, the ability to pay. You know, the average nursing home cost is now almost up to $40,000, $45,000 a year. Plus, you're putting a person in the most degrading. You're taking a person, whether young or old, out of a familiar surroundings, putting them in a warehouse, basically. Even if the warehouse looks nice, basically you're told when to get up, when to eat, when to go to bed.
Hey, ADAPT isn't making this up. There's nearly 2 million folks in nursing homes in this country, and a big chunk of them are under 65. Lee Swenson used to be a cop. Always wanted to be a cop. But he got ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and he couldn't even draw his gun. You get disabled and you get caught in this netherland of rules that won't let you keep your own home or much of your stuff if you want to qualify for Medicaid.
Thank you, Eddie.
Now Lee lives in a nursing home.
All right.
Not too terrible as nursing homes go. It's basically clean and tidy, but no privacy or freedom of choice. Lee's mind is sharp as a tack, and he could live independently with the help of an attendant for a lot less money than it costs to live in this nursing home.
People in general must be aware of those of us with disabilities, that because our bodies don't function, it doesn't mean that our minds don't function too, and that we're not capable of doing things, capable of making a significant contribution.
I couldn't believe Robin Steffens could drive. Do you think I'd miss a chance to cruise with her? Robin, is it hard for you to drive?
No, it's easy.
It's easy?
Yeah. I learned in 2 days.
You learned in 2 days?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, about 8 years to try to get to tell somebody I could drive. Because no one believes I could drive. No one believes I could drive. It took me 8 years.
8 years.
Fighting this system. Fighting the system.
Yeah. I got it.
Get somebody to teach me to drive. But actually, I knew how to drive. I just had to do it physically.
How about when you had to pass you had to get a license test? Tell me about getting the license test.
First time I was so scared. I didn't have a chance.
Yeah, it must have just freaked him out to see you wanting to take a driver's test.
That's right.
Cracks me up. Cracks me up.
You were scared shitless.
You were scared shitless, yeah. And then so you had to go back a second time.
Yeah.
How'd you do then?
I did great.
You did great?
Yeah, the guy was nicer. The guy was not as scared.
It turns out that Robin's only had one minor traffic ticket in 9 years of driving, which is a lot better than most of us can claim.
Go. Shit. Right.
I remember Wade telling me how hard he had to work to steal Robin away from her last job so she could work full-time for Adapt. He wanted her because she's one tough cookie. Talk about vision. I mean, here's a woman who had to fight for 8 years to convince some bureaucratic schmuck to let her take a driver's test. Wade looked at Robin and saw only her capacities and power and charm. So I got this flash that the same thing that's throwing obstacles in Robin's way, and mine as well, is what's keeping Lee Swenson in that nursing home. The physical disabilities are not the problem. The real barriers are the attitudes that see us as sick, incapable, defective, victims of a fate worse than death. It'd be a stone oversimplification to say that we get these attitudes from cereal boxes, or catch them from toilet seats, or from watching TV.
Dr. Crusher believes my paralysis to be permanent.
I'm sorry.
I want you to help me die.
There must be other options.
No, there are not. I will not live as an object of pity or shame. My life as a Klingon is over.
We are here live in Las Vegas.
It's a kind of a chicken and egg thing. While movies and TV reflect the attitudes of the culture, they also help create those attitudes.
My kids cannot go in the workplace. There's nothing they can do. They've been attacked by a vicious killer. I'm begging for their survival. When you walk,
we're always seen as helpless victims or special inspirations, or we're shown as so full of anger and self-pity, needing a swift kick from the nearest non-disabled person.
When I get stronger, I'll quit drinking.
If you keep drinking, you will not get any stronger.
You listen to me. I hired you and I want you to do what I tell you.
Or else books and movies show us as villains, dark, creepy forces, and monsters.
Mr. Bond, it's good to see you again.
I suppose you can see playwright and actor Neil Marcus as a monster because he's hard to understand and his body is disabled. Packaging is everything. But Neil tells me his whole game is to change the way people look at disability.
People look at me. I think that is the power of art.
You're changing the way people look at you.
Yes.
Are you all right?
Yes.
Did you just order?
Yes.
Oh, no. Could we try this again, please?
Cheeseburger.
You want a cheeseburger? Yes! Yes! He wants a cheeseburger!
People with disabilities of all kinds are told in one way or another, you are defective as you are abnormal, you can never be fully human until and unless you're cured or at least corrected to the point that you arrive at some semblance of normality, which is to say, you approach as close as possible to being like non-disabled people. There's no positive way within this view of things to be a person with a disability.
At Stanford University, Paul Longmore teaches a class called The History of Human Differences. He gets his students to consider that disability is not so much sickness and a chance to get chicken soup as it is a political fact.
See, the problem is when you are defined exclusively as an object of charity, you're not in a position to demand anything as your right. When you begin to assert yourself as having a right to reasonable accommodations that allow you to operate in the different way in which you operate as a person with a disability, then you initially at least will be charged with seeking special privileges. Because you're not supposed to demand these things as a right. These are things that we dispense to you out of our goodwill.
The idea that people with disabilities are a political minority and not sick is right and brilliant and perfect. When I started to understand that we're treated and dissed just like any other minority, everything clicked. A gold star for Professor Paul. The day I visited his class, they were discussing Gene Stewart's novel, The Body's Memory.
There's a great T-shirt to come out of this book. It's in the next to the last scene.